Well, hi, good morning, and thanks for joining me here in my shop. I'm just about to start a new project, and hopefully something a little bit simpler than the last few projects I've worked on, which have been brain teasers for sure. So now this radio, actually, this is my radio. I actually own this radio. I've had it for, 10 years maybe. And it would be at least 5 or 6 years ago that I did a little work on it. Since then, it has not been plugged in or even turned on, I'm pretty sure. So let's take a look at this. And I know I didn't do everything to it I could have done before. And I like this radio. I think this is a really nice radio. The cabinet is in really good shape all around. And it says Motorola Golden Voice. Golden Voice. So Golden Voice is a trademark that usually indicates a higher than expected quality of sound coming from a radio. That the radio is achieving a certain high standard. We'll probably find another sticker on this radio, and we may even find the signature of the chief engineer on that sticker. I'm not sure if we will. So obviously this is a clock radio. It has a second hand right there. Has an alarm hand in the back there too. It's got all of its knobs, which usually on these little radios with the clocks, one of the clock knobs is usually gone. But it's not. It says wake up, sleep, alarm, on, auto, off. Here's a 60-minute timer here. This is the sleep setting. And the alarm. That would probably move the alarm setting if I push it in or pull it out or something. Yeah, pull it out and it moving the, you can hear the clicks going in there. Okay, shouldn't fool with it too much before we take a look at it. Let's look at the back. Wow, a lot of stuff on here. Motorola Volumatic. That's a trademark. Volumatic. Well, I can only guess that that's just referring to the usual ABC system you would find in one of these radios. For clock and radio operation, see instructions. Manufactured by the Addison Industries Limited. Registered user of Motorola Canada. Trademark. So this is actually an Addison radio, or at least built by that company. Serial number 1200. 0.35 amps, 60 cycle. Licensed by Canadian Radio Patents Limited. So I don't know what that is, Canadian Radio Patents, but I know in the history of radio patents there was a period where, if I understand it right, they were all collected under one company and then licensed out from there. But I'm not really sure about it. You notice the darkening up here? And so actually it's darkening all around. I was going to say this is probably from heat effects, but in fact it's darkening all around the edges. So why it would darken around the edges, I don't know. They've marked these screws to remove with little stars. This is something you see in more complex, more modern equipment where there's all kinds of screws. You can't be sure which one it is you should remove. With stars here. But there's only 4 screws to remove, so I'm not too sure. There it is, model number 67C. And then this is, I don't know what this is for. This is either, feels like a piece of tape. No? I don't know what that's for. That's a part number. That's maybe for the back here. Oh, it's a serial number. So what they've done is instead of completing this, they put the sticker on with the serial number on it. To service tubes, disconnect line cord, remove 4 screws with the stars, do not connect antenna or chassis to water pipe, radiator, or other ground. So this radio has a bit of a danger with it, and they haven't handled it very well, I have to admit. Almost certainly this is a 5 tube, yeah, 35C5, 35W4, so this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, it's a 6 tube. It's a 5 tube radio with 6 tubes in it. So the chassis is almost certainly alive, depending upon how you plug in this non-polarized plug. In most of these radios that have this danger in them, a couple things are done. One, you wouldn't have screws that go into the chassis sticking out the back, and you wouldn't be able to put your finger on the on here. Now it has a phono output, but I'm pretty sure, I'm going to guess, if we look at this closely, we'll find out the phono output is not actually grounded to the chassis. I'm not sure of that. Sure looks like it is right now, but it may not be. Phono input suggests this is not a 5-tube radio with 6 tubes in it. Maybe we better just pop it open and take a look to see if there's a transformer, so we know what we're dealing with here. So this radio sits in my office. It's out in, it's on show, it's on display, so to speak. Not plugged in though. I look at it every day, and when I look at it, I think, gee, I should have this plugged in and have the clock running anyway. I don't know if the clock runs. Notice too, it has an extra plug on the back. That's very unusual for a small radio like this. So it really, I guess, anticipated some people would plug their record players into here. They plug the power in and plug the sound in there. Okay, it should come right off. Oop. Okay, so I got some wires soldered to the antenna here. Put this like this. Here's the antenna right here. I don't want to damage it. So I'm looking in here. I do not remember looking, but wow, what do I see? I see a capacitor with 3 sections. So that bodes really well for this radio. It has 6 tubes also. This might be a great radio actually. So I'm going to guess what the extra capacitor section and the extra tube are extra at the front end of the radio. So there's the clock mechanism there. You have this knob sticking out too, which you could obviously grab onto. It's just possible the clock is not touching the chassis. Anyway, I was going to look for a transformer, wasn't I? There's no transformer in there, and the tubes, what am I talking about? The tubes were 35 and 50 in that. So this is definitely a series tube radio with the risk of a hot chassis. It's got a bottom cover plate on it. It looks really good. It looks really clean inside. I say let's plug it in. Pretty sure it was working 5, 6, 7 years ago, whatever it was. So we'll plug it in. Now of course I have a safe way of doing this in case there's problems. This is a pretty stiff piece of wire here. If there was a really serious short circuit in here and you plugged it in the wall, either your house protection is going to pop, your fuse or your circuit breaker are going to open, or if that doesn't happen and there's a serious short circuit, he's going to catch fire. Something is going to burn up, something's going to pop in here. We don't want that to happen. So to prevent that situation, since I don't know for sure what's going to happen, I have a couple light bulbs right here. I can flip them in series with the power line. So you might think I have this plugged into a regular outlet. Not at all. This is going to run, the power that gets to this outlet is going to run through these light bulbs. The more power this thing tries to draw, the brighter those bulbs will get, and the less voltage will make it here. If there's a really serious short circuit in here, when I turn it on, those lights are going to come on full, and we're going to know the story, and nothing bad is going to happen. That's the whole idea. Now if the radio is in good shape, small radio like this, I turn it on, those lights may come on. In fact, I'm going to just go down to one bulb here. That light may come on briefly and then dull down. And then as the tubes warm up and they begin to draw current, the current being drawn through the light bulb will cause it to get a little brighter again. So that's a normal what you would normally expect from this dim bulb system, right? Turn the radio on, light comes on really bright, dims down, and then comes up again as all the tubes begin to draw current. The sudden flash at the start is because all the heaters are cold and the resistance is quite low compared to what it will be when the heaters get hot in the tubes. So an initial rush in, slow down, heat up, go again. Here we go. I think I over-explained that quite a bit. Power on here. So this has got to be volume here. Oh no, that's tuning. That's tuning. So this would be volume. What's this guy? This must be tone. I'm going to guess this is tone. That's very odd. Big red thing sticking out like that. Okay. I'll put it in the middle. And the on-off switch, on-off would be controlled by these. So this button's in the wrong position. Right now it should be pointing at, I'll leave it, but it should be pointing at on, off, auto. So we'll go off, and we know on is one more this way. We'll leave it off to start, but the clock should start running right away. I wonder what it's going to sound like. Sometimes these old clocks, they go ting 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 ting, they have a sound in them that is annoying. Ready for this? Here we go. Dim lights. All that should happen is the clock should run. Well, you can hear that ting 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 sound. You can see the second hand moving. And I'm just making sure that what I'm hearing is really just the clock motor. Yeah, it's the clock motor for sure, nothing else. The rest of it is still off. Okay, again, volume down, we'll flip on. Watch those bulbs now, or bulb. Okay, there it goes. Came up, went down. It's hard to see. It's not too dramatic here. But that's a very good sign. That means the radio's working normally. I'll wait for it to warm up again. It may not even light this bulb up again. And if that's the case, if there isn't enough power, if this thing doesn't draw enough power to light this bulb, then it's probably getting pretty much full voltage here. It's 110 volts. That should be enough to make it work. But it may be slow to heat up, so just give it another moment here. Okay, how about some volume? There's nothing wrong with this radio. What am I going to fix? Not picking up very much. So let me reorient the antenna on the back here into its more normal position. So strong stations are around 6.
We need help. She'll come back. To think that leaders.
Well, there's quite a change in the sound when you turn it up, and I think what we're hearing are problems with the speaker. I think. That's certainly not a golden voice. Tone. Now, I believe if you were going to feed a signal into the back, if you're going to play your record player, think the way you did this. You plugged in your record player and you just tuned to where there isn't a station. And some of the radio sound can still come through past the record player sound, I think, in these kinds of guys. Look, this radio has 2 markers on it, one there and one there. Those are civil defense markers. So if somebody told you a nuclear bomb was on its way, you would quickly run and tune this radio. And then someone would instruct you on what you should do with the last few moments of your life. So that's what that's for. Bad sound. Bad reception, I think. No hum whatsoever. That's 11. I think that's all I did last time on this is replace the filter capacitors. So I don't think I tuned it up very much. So obviously I didn't do a very good job of it if I did. This will be back in my earlier days of doing this stuff. I'm sure we can get a better of this. I'm sure we can get a better of this. Absolutely. So I'll take it out of the cabinet here. I'll get a better look at it. Look at these cool knobs, eh? They're cool. It's kind of a theme, a knob theme there. Ooh. Spring. Not exactly sure how that came out of there. Maybe it was left from this knob. Looks like it. Ah, look, there's something up here. Looks like there's a center. Looks like this is quite a gripper here, I think. I'm not sure what they're trying to do, but something got left up here. Well, whatever it is, we know where it is. It's not going anywhere. These ones come off. Lovely. So again, another strong indication of a radio with a hot chassis is these long shafted knobs, and the metal of these knobs doesn't come through. This one does. Well, of course, this is a push button guy, isn't it? So again, they didn't quite succeed in making this as safe as it could be. I mean, these knobs are sticking right out too. And I'm grabbing them left and right, aren't I? But you see, in my shop, when I power something up here, it's not plugged right in the wall. It's plugged into a transformer. And what that allows me to do is to operate these things and with a greatly reduced chance of me getting a shock. You still get shocks, of course, from them. Now we're going to want to keep this antenna on because we're going to need it, although I could remove it temporarily and put it back on again later. My intention here, I'll leave it on because once it comes out of the cabinet, it won't be as much of a problem. There we go. Let me just flip this up here for now. I'll take a look underneath. Leave the top one last, so the radio will hang from it. I'll use a bit of a different method here for the last one. Just bring it out over the edge of my bench. I think I picked this up at a yard sale. I'm really not sure where I got this radio from. I think it was a yard sale. I would have bought it at a yard sale because it would have passed all the tests. First, dirt cheap. Second, looks nice, has a cool look. Third, has all its knobs, and front dial is in good shape. No cracks, no breaks on the cabinet anywhere. All that kind of stuff. As for its ability to work, well, that doesn't worry me too much because I can always fix these guys up. So that's, if I bought this at a yard sale, that would be the reason. Not to impress my wife. I would not have bought this to impress my wife. Now I've already noticed the radio's moving, but the clock is not. Clock. So either we got to separate the clock from the radio. It's plugged in. It's got a plug. Huh. How do you like that? I wouldn't have imagined that. That's uncommon. At least I think that's uncommon. Okay. And we never saw the golden voice thing back here where it says this radio meets the standards of the engineer, chief engineer of so-and-so, and therefore is awarded the golden voice. It doesn't say that. You just pull this guy right out. Speaker's not coming. Okay, so the speaker's not coming with it. Now, chances are the speaker's hooked up with little clips here. Let's see. Yep, just clips. Now, one of these clips could be grounded to the chassis, or they're both coming right out of the. Looks like they're both coming right out of the output transformer. If one was grounded to the chassis, you'd want to be careful to not switch those wires when you put them back on. If that was the case, it's not the case. Here we are. Yeah, very good. So this is separate now from the cabinet, so I can take a peek inside. No hints of anything. It's got the name of the clock. Telecron, I think it says Telecron timer. Switch rating and stuff. Okay, so this cabinet is going to go away. Now we're going to turn this radio on. Well, maybe it'll still come on. Maybe it'll still come on. Okay, so I just broke off one of the antenna wires. I'm not going to worry too much about that. I'll nip off the other wire in a moment anyway. Might not do it right now. So green goes on top, but again, I doubt there's any kind of issue here about which wire goes where. Mr. Antenna can go there. Now we're going to take this bottom plate off and find out what I did so many years ago. This being my own radio, and at the time I would have been doing it, I was busy fixing other people's radios, not shooting videos or doing anything like that. And I may have rushed this because I was fixing other people's radios. So I may have just kind of rushed through this really quick. I don't know. We're going to find out. What did I do? I put one hopping big capacitor in there. Holy smokes. So that's where that's been all these years. Look at that thing. So this was very early on. I know I did not stock equipment or parts. I'm laughing. I think that's overkill in there. It's just loose. It's a 500 volt 32M plus 32M. So I don't even know what is the M. Wow, that's just one heck of a capacitor there. Did I do that? I have no recollection of doing that. I don't ever remember having a capacitor that looks like this. I don't think I did this. I must have brought this radio home, turned it on, it worked. Wait a minute, there's something of mine up there. I do not recall putting this in here. Maybe somebody else did it and then I came along and did this. We'll never remember now. This doesn't look original either. But again, I have no recollection of these. Mystery. But the real question is, what am I going to do with it? So there's quite a few of these molded style capacitors here. These ones look really, really good. Could just be alignment that's in trouble. Maybe that's where we should go right away. Maybe we could assume whoever did this, including me, did not align this radio. You should start with that. Maybe one or two other tests, like on the output tube, and make sure it's not overheating the output tube. Okay, so what have we got here? So they've put the rectifier tube at the back of the radio. And this is the output tube here. I don't know what that is, but it's covered. It's a covered tube. Maybe the preamp tube or something. I don't know what that's doing there. Maybe. We'll figure it out, though. I'm just so freaked out over this thing. I mean, how many radios have enough space to put something this big in? This is gigantic. And what is it replacing? Well, it was probably replacing one of those long paper guys, that classic paper guys. For the life of me, I don't remember if I did that or not. Good. Okay, decision is alignment next. Let's see if this will operate out here. I need a speaker or the speaker. Now, I think the speaker is in trouble by the way it sounded. So we're going to use the speaker. I'll use some clip leads to get there, though. So to double checking again, there appears to be no ground on the speaker lines. So first question is, can we even operate this guy out here without the clock plugged in? Okay, got the knob on. There we go. Okay, knob technology solved. Right, the on-off switch is over on the clock. I don't think there's any chance this is going to come on when I apply power. There's some very surprising things they've done here. Cheapo things. Let's apply power and see it not come on. Power on. Okay, so the switch to turn it on is in there, but I'm sure I can install, I can override that. So here's the three pins go in here. You can see one of them has the power wire on it right here. And the other one over there is a very heavy gauge wire on it also. Certainly that's the switch. So to defeat it, you can shove some wire in through here. That's not a bad way of doing it. I think that's what I'll do. So what size wire would you want to shove in there? Where's the plug? Pretty heavy gauge wire. Okay, so I'm going to hunt down a way to install a short. Turn this radio on. I think we got it that time. Yeah. Okay, so I have the speakers clipped in. No antenna. So I don't know if this would come up on the camera though, but there's a resistor down here which is quite blackened right in here. That's right at the rectifier tube. That's almost certainly the power supply resistor. It's looking a little cooked up in there. I can't really see it that clearly. Okay, we're plugged in. This time it'll come on volume down. Here we go. Dim bulbs too. You can see the glow come up with my eyeballs. Okay, volume. Now there's no antenna, so can't expect too much volume here. Sure does sound nice though. Flip it over. I'm going to switch it off to do that. So as I was saying, in fact we should do something more here before we do that. You look at where the power cord comes in and try to study its connections there to see if you can see something going to the chassis. And I'm looking all over the place now for any kind of wire soldered to the chassis. There's bound to be one in here somewhere. But there's not many. If there's a chance there's only one connection. Typically be somewhere near the... Oh, there's a huge... I think it's a huge bumblebee capacitor stuck way down into there, under there. That is probably across the power line. Well, looking very carefully for any chassis ground terminal. I really want to know where it is. Where is it? Where are you? In here. Now, typically in some of these radios there, so here, by the way, here's the phono plug, which I said was probably isolated away from the chassis, even though look at these rivets. But in fact, yes, it's using an isolated a switch there, a switch too, yeah. When you plug in the phono, it actually operates a switch. So it'll cut the radio sound off. So this one has a built-in phono interrupter switch. Okay, I still haven't spotted... Oh, I spotted it. There's a solder connection right here on this huge capacitor, which is coming over to what is probably the... They usually put the antenna coil up on top, but they haven't in this radio. So that could be the antenna coil, could be the oscillator coil. I'm going to guess it's the oscillator coil. Is there no antenna coil then? Or is there another coil I've missed? Another transformer, in fact. No. Well, you can see the antenna connection. In fact, it comes straight to the capacitor here. Green wire just goes to this tube, first tube. So it looks like there's no antenna transformer in here. It's just, so this will be the oscillator transformer or coil. So that's one connection to the chassis made through a big capacitor, no resistor paralleling it, as I can see. You really got to look at these things closely to spot all these. Now, typically in a radio like this, they use bare wire on all grounded connections. And the reason for that is it's cheaper than using insulated wire. So you see this big bare wire coming across here, probably at ground. It's tied here, it's tied there. But ground and the chassis are two different things in this radio. So we would now say to ourselves, okay, so this radio is not using the chassis much at all. In fact, I think all it's done has this big capacitor to drain out any signals that are hovering around in the chassis of any sort, radio signals, anything at all. And the actual B minus is not the chassis, but is a piece of wire. Sometimes in these radios, that piece of wire is really obvious. It's a big bolt thing running right through the middle of the radio and lots of stuff connected to it. Other times, it's just another wire snaking around through it. So when I look at these bare wires here, connected here, I see a black wire running along where? Running along up here. Black wire continues on, it's extended. It's extended again. So that wire is, and then it meets up with a bunch of bare wire. No, that's not bare. That's a resistor. So there's a good chance that that is the negative wire here, the B minus. Another evidence of it is it goes right, it's involved right with the power. Here's the power wire coming in, so right on the power wire. What that means is if I take measurements on here or attach equipment here and I use the chassis as if it's a really good ground connection, you're probably going to be in trouble because it's actually through this capacitor. You really want to hook right onto this wire here. And you can see this capacitor that goes to the chassis is also hooked onto this wire piece here. So still just guessing, but I think it's a pretty good guess. This is the B minus point. And we would want to make connections there to make measurements. So, look at this. I didn't notice this till just now. 1, 2, 3. So that's kind of interesting. So I think what we have a antenna coming straight into the tuning capacitor, out of there through the amplifier, out of the amplifier into an RF coil. This is the antenna frequency or received frequency coil, if you like. Out of there into what I'm guessing is the converter tube, mixer tube, frequency changer tube, whatever you want to call it. Then out of there it's IF, and then it's over to the detector tube. From there it's audio into here and out to the speaker. Oh yeah, so that's that. You can see that in there. I'm pointing to. So the top. That's the top of this coil. So is there a slug in there? I don't think there'd be a slug in there. No, I'm looking right through it. It's empty. So it's just mounted there. It's not meant to be accessed. Very good. And why doesn't the light work? TS47. So this is a 47. I'll just look at the filament here. Whoop! I'll look at the filament against my light. This looks perfectly good. Let me put it back in there. Maybe it is working, and I just haven't figured that out yet. So all in all, again, it's a really good radio. Why does it sound so lousy? So we'll try a little IF tuning here. No, you know what? I'm going to try to get this schematic. I think I'd be stupid to carry on without the schematic on this guy. 27D 63 4281. Whatever that is. But we know the name of this radio, the model number is actually 67C. Hey, put it like that. Okay, I'm off to hunt down a schematic here. Well, I looked long and hard for a schematic for this radio. I could not find one. So, let's see if we can just figure out if this is an IF, if there's actually 3 IF stages, which I kind of doubt. I really doubt that. But wow, those 3 transformers, they all look identical. Maybe it says something on them. There's some giveaway on it. Big number there, 24C, 60 blah 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 blah. This is interesting. I don't know if you can see it on this can. You can see 2 rows of writing. The lower row can be read. The upper row has been X'd out. It's actually gone over it with X's and smashed it out of there. That's bizarre. So the 2 cans I think are IF cans. They have similar numbers on them. 29, 113, K6 or something. These are identical. This one does not contain those numbers. Oh my gosh. Other than that, it looks exactly the same. Not quite. Small differences in how this can is shaped down here. Okay, so let's look in the radio. Maybe we can figure out from there. So the only way you can have an IF is you've gone past the frequency changer tube, which I'm pretty sure is this one. Let's just check. Maybe this is it. Maybe this is the changer. 12BA6. So 12BA6 is not a frequency changer, it's an RF amplifier, or it's an amplifier. It can be used as an RF amplifier. So the signal's got to be coming in, tuned, boosted. This is involved at RF. Changed to 455 or whatever it is. Crying out loud, I don't even know for sure what the IF is, but we can guess 455 and onwards. So this must be an RF coil. RF tunable coil. But we don't really want to start there. We want to start with the IF transformers. So to do that, we would pick off this tube, get on the grid of it. This way with a block. There. Perfect. So we're going to want to inject the signal into this covered tube here. Let's figure out the grid of it. Okay, I know what I'm doing, believe it or not. I'll get it all set up here. Okay, so let's take a look at the mixer tube here. Is a 12BE6. It's the same as a 6BE6. Let's see what my book shows. 6BE6. Pinout is, I want to look where the 2 grids are, because this tube is mixing 2 signals. It has 2 grids receiving signals. One's from the antenna, one's from the oscillator, the local oscillator. Which is which? Take a look and we see, let's see, one of the grids, grid number 1 is pin number 1, and grid number 3 here is pin number 7. So either side of the gap, pin 1 is grid 1. So what have they done in here? Let's take a look. Let's take a closer look here. Okay, so we're looking at the second tube here. We just get a pointer. This will do. Second tube here. So pin 1 is this pin, and pin 7 is this one. So these are the 2 grids coming in. Now, this grid, pin 1, goes up to this coil. I think this is the oscillator coil here. Pin number 7 goes back to this can, which I believe at this point is an RF transformer. Pretty sure of that. Coming from the antenna. In fact, you can look and see this connection. If you just look down a little bit. This connection going down to the next tube. So you can output here from this tube, input to that tube there. This has to be the signal. So now I have my choice. I can stick my signal generator onto the signal grid if I want. I'm going to be putting in the 455 kilohertz, or I could put it onto the local oscillator grid. That would probably or might knock out the local oscillator, which is a little bit of an advantage, but not too much. So we'll try this on, we'll try what looks like the oscillator grid. Pick it off right there. And then this is my signal generator. And if you happen to look up here, if you can see it, a little hard to see, for 445 right now. Just turn lower level. We'll make the connection once the radio is operating. And then I have my voltmeter handy. I want to put this on where I can measure the AVC. So that's another tube issue. Oh my gosh, look at that. 12CR6. Never heard of that tube. But that has to be the detector. 12BA, 12BE, 12BA, 12CR6. Never heard of it. I've never heard of it. Why would they use such an odd tube? 12CR6. Here it is. Oh, it's got lots of information on it. Miniature type used as a combined detector and audio amplifier in automobile and AC operated radio receivers. Exactly what's going on with this one. The diode unit is used as an AM detector, and the pentode unit is used as an automatic volume control audio amplifier. There's the whole thing right there. Automatic volume controlled audio amplifier. Now that's a little bit unusual. And that would be why it says on here there was a note about this somewhere. Where did I see the note? There it is. Volumatic. Volumatic. As opposed to just an AVC. There's something more going on with this radio. Okay, and what about it? Okay, lots of stuff there. So what we really want to know is, where would we go to pick up the diode voltage? It will have to be on this pin here, number 2. That is the diode output right there. There's only one diode in here because it has a pentode. It must be the pentode style of tube that they can do the remote cutoff thing. Remote cutoff makes the tube suitable for volume control, as I understand it. So which pin was it? He said it's pin 2. Pin 2. So pin 2 is what we want to read the AVC voltage on. Pin 2. If I had a schematic, we could look into this whole automatic volume thing a lot better. So pin 2 of the tube way up in there. Way up in there. Can I possibly spot which one's pin 2 and get at it? Oh my gosh. It's really buried. So where's the gap to start with? Oh my gosh. This is not going to work out too good. Okay, we'll try another spot here to pick up the AVC voltage, a more classic, if you like, location. If I had a schematic, I could be a little more certain about all this. But first things first, there's a near short in this radio. Like really close. It's right here. You can, I don't know if you can see, you can't really see it in the camera. But these two resistor leads are like less than a millimeter apart. I mean, they're just almost touching. Don't think they were though. So that probably got pushed from this guy going in. Pushed over there. So I don't think it was shorted though. So what we're going to do now is we're going to look for voltage on the volume control here and see if we can find it there. Sometimes the AVC voltage is present on the volume control. Let us see. Okay, so all that's left now is connection of the signal generator into the radio. Okay, power on. Very good. 117 volts supplied to this radio, even with the bulb in series with it. It's a very, very... Oh, there we go. Okay, that's what I should have been expecting. I shouldn't have acted surprised. Negative on the meter. Touch the bottom of the volume control. Let's turn the volume down a little bit here. So there's a tiny, tiny voltage here. This will make it a little more apparent. Not in that camera, it won't. Okay. There. Well, yeah. So I fight with my cameras and lighting here all the time because it's this one over here that's doing it. Because the camera does its own adjustments automatically, and so sometimes I fight with it. Now, watching the meter, I will touch the volume control. There we are. That's not much of an ABC voltage. I'm going to vary the frequency. Whoops. Hold that on there. Let's turn it up a little bit. Okay, hold it on there. Vary the incoming frequency. Oh my gosh, that's it? Well, that's terrible. I mean, there's hardly a variation there. So it looks like it's tuned to 459 or 460. 460 could be the proper IF frequency in this radio. I don't know. 455, 460 is not the biggest deal for such a little radio like this. We'll pick one. Might as well pick 460 because it's virtually where it is. Tune the IF and see if we can peak up this voltage I'm reading. Stage 1. Okay, we'll put this on here, and we should see a voltage come out here. Okay, now this are probably tiny little slugs. Let's see what kind of tool I've got that can get in there and work them. Okay, we'll try this tool first. I'll throw you over here. So you want to start with the second IF, the one that's closest to the speaker. If your radio is way out of alignment, then that's really critical. If it's pretty close, it's not so critical. This one's pretty close, obviously. So now you can tune both slugs from above if you can pass your tool through one slug to get down to the second one, but I'm not even getting into the first one here. So I don't think I got the right size tool here. Let me just come down from the top. Well, it's possible there's a slot. How am I going to figure that out? Well, I'll put the slotted in and see if it drops into a slot. I'm going to do it from the top here. Son of a gun, it did. It did. I'm turning it. Okay, hold it. Okay, so we know it's a slotted guy. Okay, can I get it right down through? See, there's a pretty long neck here. I should be able to slide this down through the first one into the second one from the top. So, no. What am I saying? We're using, come on, Jim. Okay, not wanting to get a shock here off this big honking capacitor. There we are. I'm in. Now, I gotta get a look at this meter. All eyes on the meter. Down. Down. So that was in either direction. It went down. Let me try from the top now. So this is really yelling out, I'm all aligned. Try this. Down. Down. So this is perfectly aligned. the other IF can. Okay, the other one would be this one here from the bottom. Get in the slot here. Okay, I'm in. Here we go. Down. Stay in the slot. Just 1 second. I just want to protect myself. I'm going to use my hand on this. Okay. Just insulating my spare hand from the chassis. Up, down. No, you know, this one's right too. So we're not going to get anything out of this. No. Nothing out of that. What I mean by that is the IF appears to be tuned fine. So let's try the front end part of this radio now. Let me stop the video and I'll set everything up here.